decided to break the engagement quietly. Whew. Any of you in that situation? How many of you can, let's just kind of put it this way. How many of you had been looking forward to something and before you got it, it was messed up? Were you disappointed? Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of things I can remember. There was this really, really pretty girl, in high school, and I remember, man, I did all I could to date this young lady, and whenever I found out a little bit more about her, I was so heartbroken. I also love cherry pie. And some of y'all know that because when I told y'all that whenever I first came, and I had so many cherry pies that I still love cherry pies. I'm not going to say that I don't like cherry pies anymore. I still love cherry pies. But I did have one, not from here, from another place. and one of the cherries had a pit in it. And of course, I didn't know that until I bit it. Now, there was not joy in that bite of cherry pie. There was pain in that part of cherry pie. Now, as I'm scanning it, I'm looking out and I'm thinking about this, marriage, right? Joseph and Mary here, they were engaged to be married. And then Joseph gets this news. See, there's joy gone, right? I don't have to go too far into that, right? But see, the thing about it is that even whenever we get married, they say the honeymoon lasts, 5 years? For some, it doesn't last that long, obviously. But the thing about this is, the thing about our joy and the joy that we feel is all determined by our expectations being met. Right? Our joy comes from the expectation of whatever this is. Yes, again, I told some of y'all that, I didn't tell some of y'all, I told all of y'all that tater tot casserole is my favorite meal. It's odd because I can't have any of my favorite meals and stuff anymore. But anyway, I had a lot of tater tot casseroles. Whenever somebody tells you that they're going to bring you a tater tot casserole, you get all excited. Well, maybe you don't get all excited about that. But I used to get really excited about that. Mickey would come to me and she would give me this little pot about like this because she made one just for me that I didn't have to share with anybody else in my family. Just for me. And whenever she told me that she had that and she gave me that pot, man, joy entered into my my heart because I knew that I had that and I knew that it was going to be good. See, it's whenever the expectations of that tater tot casserole being good, being messed up, that kind of changes things. I watched a Christmas movie. This simply just popped into my head. I watched a Christmas movie. I love those lovey-dovey Hallmark Christmas movies. Peggy doesn't like them all that much. But this one here was A Dash of Christmas, and it was about baking. And this lady was cooking, and she was at this cooking class and stuff, and she made the mistake of putting salt in instead of sugar. Can you imagine the taste of those cookies? Yes. I didn't, yeah. But see, all of this is dealing with expectations. And what happened with Joseph whenever he found out that his wife was supposedly not who he thought she was. thought that she was unfaithful. What happened? His joy left. And he says, if that's the case, I'm going to quietly terminate this relationship. At least he was going to do it quietly. Do you feel that at that point in time that Joseph had joy in his life? And see, there's times that we're there, right? There's times that things happen. There's times that things come up in our lives that takes our joy away. Because all too often our joy is wrapped up in circumstances. But we find, and just simply a play on words, whenever Mary wrapped Jesus in swaddling clothes, our joy and our salvation was wrapped up in a Savior, in a baby that was not and that could not disappoint us. Right? Because of who He was and who He is for us. See, in Matthew chapter 20, it says, as he considered this, an angel of the Lord appeared to him in a dream. Joseph, son of David, the angel said, do not be afraid to take Mary as your wife, for the child within her was conceived by the Holy Spirit. And she will have a son, and you are to name him Jesus, for he will save his people from sin. Wow. That changes everything, doesn't it? Doesn't that changes the whole aspect of what he was going through, of the thought process. It changes the results of all this that's happened. It didn't take it away. He still had the ridicule from his friends. He still had the people that was all about the law that was telling him that, no, you shouldn't do this. You shouldn't marry her. There's no way that this is right. Right? You shouldn't do this. It wasn't easy. A strict Jewish family at this particular point, and David still accepting Mary to be his wife, most probably wouldn't have been in the same home with his parents any longer. See, that's where they are in this, is that in dealing with this. We go through hardship and through sorrows, don't we? But do we go through them with joy? Not usually. See, look at the world. We are here in this broken world that has wars all the time, that has rumors of war, that has violence all over the place. Maybe you can remember a relationship that was broken. And the trust that was lost. There's a Christmas gift that I keep thinking about, and I keep saying that I want it. And well, I haven't gotten it yet, as you can tell, because I'm still asking for it, but not really asking for it. Some of you might know what this is, and I'll try to bring this back in just because I want to say that what I want my Christmas gift to be out loud. So there's a golf buddy. No, it's a golf daddy, isn't it? It's a little pad that you can golf with, and you're supposed to be able to golf with it inside because there's no golf balls involved in it. It's just a little pad, and it hooks up and it videos you with your on your phone, so you can play it anywhere, inside, outside, But I'm thinking, I'm like, where am I going to put this in my house? I'm like, if I raise my club up like this, I'm going to hit the ceiling and poke a hole through the ceiling, and then I'm going to really have a mad wife. And then, of course, I was telling her yesterday what I wanted, and I gave her the video on it. She goes, yeah, but you do that in front of the TV. What if you turn loose of the club and it hits the TV? I'm like, well, you're not supposed to do that, but I got you. So I'm thinking about this, and I still think I kind of want it, but do I really want it? Because I'm really not going to be able to use it. It's not really going to fulfill what what my desire is in this, right? I want to get better at golf. I don't want to have a bunch of holes in my ceiling. Then I would become a better plaster guy or, sheetrock guy. And see, the thing about this is, what I'm trying to get us to see and to understand, that our joy doesn't come if our expectations are met. Our joy comes in the midst of disappointment. Our joy comes in the midst of unreached expectations. And I will say this, some 65 to 70% of all marriages that end up in a divorce are because of unmet expectations. Because spouses have one expectation than the other. And we don't understand how to work through those expectations not being met. Because joy comes from receiving something that we truly want. And not many of us want stress. Not many of us want disappointment. But we all want joy. It's what we require to have joy that changes all the things. You have Solomon in his wisdom comes to the end of his life, and he says, I've had all of these things. I've had women, I've had riches, I've had parties, I have this beautiful palace, I have this beautiful garden, but I don't have joy. And he says it's all worth nothing unless God is involved in it. Right? And then you have Paul in the New Testament that says that I have learned how to be happy or how to be joyful whenever I was rich and whenever I was poor. Whenever I had a lot and whenever I had nothing. Because my joy doesn't come from anything that I can receive, but it comes from the relationship with Jesus Christ. See, our joy comes from a person that lived on this earth, that walked on this earth perfectly, that died on the cross, but rose again on the third day, so that we would be able to have a right relationship with His Father. And that is pure joy. That is what life is all about. The joy that we receive from a relationship with our Creator. It's not the things that He created. The joy is in the Creator. the joy that came to this earth Christmas morning so many years ago is a joy that is beyond any circumstance that we will ever face. That joy is better than anything that this world could ever offer. That joy is a joy that is never ending. John gives us this in Revelations chapter 21, verses 1 through 6. It says, "Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and the sea was no more. And I saw the holy city, the new Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, 'See, the home of God is among mortals. He will dwell with them. They will be his people, and God himself will be with them and be their God. He will wipe away every tear from their eyes. No death will be no more. Mourning and crying and pain will be no more. For the first things have passed away.'"